Commander Rathfer stared at the screen with all 6 of his eyes wide open. In his 40 years of exploring space, he had never seen anything like this. His ship, a small survey vessel from the Veltharian Empire, had just entered an unremarkable yellow star system on the edge of the galaxy. It was supposed to be empty. The scanner said otherwise. The third planet from the star glowed blue and green on his display. Rathfer's claws tapped nervously on the console. His second officer, a young navigator named Pixel, leaned closer to confirm the readings. "Commander, the scanners must be broken," Pixel said. "This cannot be real," but the scanners were not broken. They showed a world teeming with life, not just simple life like bacteria or plants, but complex life, intelligent life, technological life. The planet had cities, roads, lights that glowed in the darkness, and machines that flew through the air. Most shocking of all, there were satellites orbiting the planet and a small station where beings lived in space. Rathfer felt his blood turn cold. This was impossible. The Galactic Council had mapped every corner of the galaxy over 2 million years. Every species that reached space travel had been found, cataloged, and welcomed. There were no unknown civilizations left. There could not be. He zoomed in on the planet itself. His breath caught in his throat. The world was a nightmare. 70% of it was covered in water, a highly corrosive substance that dissolved most materials. The atmosphere was filled with oxygen, a dangerous and reactive gas that caused fires and explosions. Massive storms raged across the surface, powerful enough to destroy buildings. The ground itself moved and shook, breaking apart cities. Frozen pools of solid water sat at the top and bottom of the planet. This was what the Council called a Category 12 death world, a place where nothing should survive, let alone thrive. Yet the beings on this planet had not just survived, they had built a civilization. They had conquered their hostile world and reached for the stars. "Send an emergency signal to the Council immediately," Rathfer ordered. His voice shook. "Tell them we have found something that should not exist." Far below on the planet's surface, in a structure orbiting the world, Captain Ji-ho Kim floated through the corridors of the International Space Station. He had been in space for 3 months now, conducting experiments and maintaining the station. It was routine work. It was peaceful and predictable. That changed when the alarm sounded. Ji-ho pushed himself quickly to the control room, where Dr. Hannah was already checking the sensors. Her face was pale. "Ji-ho, look at this," she said, pointing at the screen. An object had appeared near Jupiter's orbit. It was large, much larger than anything humans had ever built. It was moving, changing course, heading toward the inner solar system. Toward Earth. "Is it a meteor?" Ji-ho asked, though he already knew the answer. "No," Hannah said quietly. "Meteors do not change direction. Meteors do not emit energy signatures. Ji-ho, this is a ship." For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Then Ji-ho reached for the communication panel. "Houston, we have a situation." Within 2 hours, every space agency on Earth knew about the object. Within 4 hours, every government had been informed. Within 6 hours, President Taeyong Choi of the United Earth Council stood before the emergency assembly in Geneva. The room was packed with representatives from every nation. Translators worked frantically as dozens of languages filled the air. Everyone was talking at once, voices raised in fear and excitement. Taeyong raised his hand for silence. "We do not know who they are or what they want," he said. "But we must be ready. This is the moment humanity has wondered about for centuries. We are not alone." In the back of the room, Ambassador the Jin Lee listened carefully. She was a diplomat who had spent her career resolving conflicts between nations. She spoke 7 languages fluently and had negotiated peace treaties on 3 continents. Now she might need to speak for all of humanity. Next to her sat Dr. Subin Han, a linguist who specialized in communication patterns. If these aliens had language, Subin would find a way to understand it. Across the aisle, Dr. Woojin Park checked his tablet nervously. As a physicist, he understood the technology required for interstellar travel. Whoever these visitors were, they were far more advanced than humans. Commander Hyen Woo-beek stood near the door, his military uniform crisp and formal. He was there to assess threats and protect humanity if needed. but he hoped it would not come to that. Far above Earth, in the Galactic Council Hall that orbited a neutron star, the greatest minds of 847 civilizations gathered. The council had not called an emergency meeting in over 10,000 years. But the discovery of Earth had changed everything. A massive hologram of the blue and green planet rotated in the center of the chamber. Data scrolled past in hundreds of languages. Every species present studied the information with growing horror and fascination. This species evolved in conditions that would kill most of us within minutes, said Xylith, a being made of living crystal who represented the crystalline concordat. Her voice rang like bells. The gravity alone would crush my body. The oxygen would corrode my structure. The water would dissolve my essence, yet they thrived there, added Velthor of the Harmonious Collective. He was tall and thin, with skin that changed colors based on his emotions. Right now, he was dark purple, the color of deep concern. They have built cities, created art, developed science. They have reached space without any guidance from the council. A reptilian delegate named Korath slammed his tail on the ground. We should destroy them now. Species that survive such conditions must be dangerous. They're predators, warriors. They will be a threat to the galaxy, or said a small floating being named Mira, who communicated through bioluminescence. They could be the greatest allies we have ever found. Perhaps their struggle has made them strong in ways we cannot imagine. The debate raged for hours. Finally, the council reached a decision. They would make contact. They would learn about these humans, but they would be careful. Very careful. A delegation was prepared. Ships were dispatched. Messages were encoded. In mathematical patterns that any technological species should understand. On Earth, Jiho watched from the space station as the alien vessel came closer. It was beautiful in a strange way, built with elegant curves and glowing lights. It did not look like a weapon. It looked like someone reaching out a hand. He activated the communication channel. This is Captain Jiho Kim of Earth. We see you. We welcome you. We are ready to meet. The response came in a burst of mathematical equations that appeared on every screen. Hannah worked quickly to decode them. They want to talk, she said, her voice filled with wonder. Jiho, they want to meet us. First contact is happening. Right now. Jiho looked out the window at the blue planet below and the alien ship approaching from above. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. And the galaxy was about to discover that humans were unlike anything they had ever encountered. The council hall hummed with activity as beings from across the galaxy studied the new data about Earth. Velthar stood at the central podium, his skin shifting from purple to orange as he presented the findings. Behind him, massive holographic displays showed images of humans. Their cities, their technology, and most disturbing of all, their planet. We have analyzed everything we could detect from orbit, Velthor began. What we have found challenges everything we understand about life and evolution. A three-dimensional model of a human appeared in the air. The assembled delegates leaned forward to look closer. The creature stood on two legs, had two arms, and a head with forward-facing eyes. It looked fragile, almost weak. Do not be fooled by their appearance, Velthor warned. These beings are survivors of conditions we can barely imagine, he gestured, and the display changed to show Earth's environment. Gasps and shocked sounds filled the chamber. Their planet has gravity that is 1.3 times the galactic standard, Velthar continued. Most of our species would be unable to stand in such conditions. Yet humans walk, run, even jump in this gravity as if it were nothing. Some of them climb mountains that are 8,000 meters high, where the oxygen is so thin that most species would suffocate. Xylith's crystalline body chimed with alarm. Show us their biology. I want to understand how they survive. The display shifted again to show the inside of a human body. The chamber fell silent as everyone stared in disbelief. Their bodies are extraordinary, Velthar explained. They contain trillions of microscopic organisms living inside them. These bacteria help them digest food, fight disease, and even produce vitamins. Most species would die from such an infection. Humans require it to live. Impossible, whispered Myra, her bioluminescent body flickering rapidly. How do they control such organisms? They do not control them completely, Velthar said. They live in balance with them. Their immune systems constantly fight invading microbes while maintaining partnerships with helpful ones. It is a war happening inside every human body, every moment of their lives. Korath, the reptilian warrior, stepped forward. What about their physical capabilities? Can they fight? Velthar's skin turned dark red, the color of respect mixed with fear. Humans are pursuit predators. On their world, they hunted prey, not by being faster or stronger, but by chasing it until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Humans can run for hours without stopping. They can travel 50 kilometers in a single day on foot. Their bodies produce a chemical called adrenaline that increases their strength and speed when they are in danger. A natural combat stimulant, Korath said slowly. They carry weapons in their own blood. That is not all, Velthar continued. Humans can survive damage that would kill most of us. They can lose up to 30% of their blood and still fight. They can function with only one of several organs. They heal from broken bones, torn muscles, and cuts that would be fatal to most species. We found records of humans surviving falls from great heights, attacks by predators, and exposure to their planet's extreme weather. A scholar from the academic spheres of Nethys raised a crystalline appendage. Surely their intelligence is limited. Such physical capabilities must come at the cost of mental development. Velthar made a gesture that was the equivalent of a human shaking their head. Their intelligence is remarkable. They have developed mathematics, science, art, music, and philosophy. They have split the atom, mapped their own genetic code, and built machines that think. They did all of this in complete isolation, with no guidance from the galactic community. He paused, and his skin turned a pale blue, the color of sadness. But what troubles me most is their culture. Humans have something we have forgotten, or perhaps never had. They call it hope. The display changed to show images from Earth. Children playing in parks, families gathering for meals, artists creating sculptures, musicians performing for crowds, scientists working together in laboratories. Humans create art with no survival value, Velthar explained. They make music, paintings, and stories simply because it makes them happy. They keep other species as companions, animals they call pets, purely for emotional comfort. They risk their lives to save strangers. They explore dangerous places just to see what is there. They cry, added a voice from the back. It was Dr. Thelix, the council's chief xenobiologist. She moved to the front of the chamber. Humans have the ability to leak water from their eyes when they experience strong emotions. Sadness, joy, anger, relief. They cry. It serves no biological function we can identify. It simply happens because they feel deeply. The chamber was silent. The idea of a species that felt emotion so strongly was difficult to comprehend. There is more, Dr. Thelix continued. Humans have divided themselves into hundreds of different groups called nations. They speak thousands of different languages. They have different beliefs, different cultures, different ways of life. And yet, they have not destroyed themselves. They argue, yes. They have wars sometimes, but they also cooperate, trade, and help each other. They formed something called the United Earth Council just 50 years ago, bringing most of their nations together. How is that possible? Asked a delegate from the peaceful gardens of Kel. We achieved peace by becoming one culture, one language, one way of thinking. How do they maintain peace while remaining so different? We do not know, Dr. Thelix admitted, but it suggests they have learned something we have not. They have found a way to celebrate their differences instead of fighting over them. Velthar raised his hands for attention. The council must make a decision. Do we make contact with these humans? Do we welcome them into the galactic community? Or do we quarantine their world until we understand them better? Korath spoke again. They are dangerous. We should contain them. They are extraordinary, countered Mira. We should learn from them. The debate continued for hours. Finally, the council reached a compromise. They would make contact, but carefully. They would send a delegation to meet the humans face to face. They would observe, question, and understand. but they would also be ready to protect the galaxy if needed, on Earth. Ambassador Dajin Li stood in the briefing room with her team. President Taeyong had chosen them to represent humanity at the first contact meeting. It was the greatest responsibility anyone had ever been given. They will judge all of humanity based on us, Subin said quietly. The linguist looked nervous but determined. We have to get this right. We will be ourselves, Duggan replied. That is all we can do. We will show them who humans really are. Our strengths and our weaknesses. Our hopes and our fears. We will be honest. Ujin adjusted his glasses. The physics of their ship suggests technology thousands of years ahead of ours. They could destroy us easily if they wanted to. Then we will have to convince them not to want to, Hyanwu said. The military commander stood with his arms crossed. We show them that humans are worth knowing, worth saving, worth being friends with. The Jinn looked at each of them. We have 48 hours before the meeting. Let us prepare everything we can. We will show them our art, our music, our science, our history. All of it, the good and the bad. We will show them what it means to be human. High above Earth, the alien delegation ship approached. Inside, Belthor looked at the blue planet growing larger on the screen. His skin shifted through colors rapidly, showing his mixed emotions. What do you think we will find? Asked his assistant. Velthar was quiet for a long moment. I think we will find either our greatest allies or our greatest teachers. Perhaps both. These humans have survived what should have killed them. They have thrived where they should have failed. They have qualities the galaxy has lost. If they are dangerous, then, Velthor said softly, we will learn that too. But I do not think they are dangerous to us. I think they are dangerous to impossible things. 2 barriers. 2 limits. Humans do not accept that something cannot be done, and that frightens me more than any weapon. The ship continued its approach. In hours, the 2 civilizations would meet. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see what would happen when humanity finally joined the cosmic community. The meeting chamber floated in space between Earth and the alien vessel. It was a neutral ground, built quickly by both sides, using simple materials. The Jinn took a deep breath as she entered, followed by Subin, Wujin, and Hoyenwu. Through the transparent walls, Earth hung like a jewel in the darkness. The alien delegation entered from the opposite door. The Geen felt her heart race as she saw them for the first time. Velthar was tall and thin, his skin rippling with colors she had never seen before. Behind him came 3 other beings, each from a different species. One looked like living crystal, another glowed with soft light, and the third had scales that shimmered in rainbow patterns. Velthar approached slowly. He raised one long-fingered hand in what might have been a greeting. A device around his neck began to speak in perfect Korean. I am Velthar of the Harmonious Collective. I speak for the Galactic Council. We welcome you to the greater community of intelligent species. The Jinn bowed slightly. I am Ambassador the Jin Li. I speak for the people of Earth, all of humanity. We are honored by your visit and grateful for this meeting. They sat at a simple table. Velthar's skin shifted to a soft yellow color. Subin whispered to the Jinn that this might indicate curiosity or openness. We have many questions, Velthar began. We have observed your world from orbit, but there is much we do not understand. May we ask about your species? Of course, the Jinn replied. We also have many questions for you. Let us learn about each other. Velthar gestured, and a hologram appeared showing a human running. We have observed humans engaging in what appears to be extreme physical activity voluntarily. Can you explain this? Hyanwu leaned forward. That is a marathon. It is a race where humans run 42 kilometers. People do it for fun, for challenge, to test themselves. The aliens looked at each other. The crystalline being, Xylith, spoke in a voice like ringing chimes. For fun? This activity would kill most galactic species. The sustained effort, the strain on the body, the depletion of resources. Why would you do this voluntarily? Because it makes us feel alive, Huanwu said simply. Because we can. Because pushing our limits helps us understand what we are capable of. Some humans climb mountains, swim across oceans, or run across deserts. We explore our own capabilities the way we explore space. Velthar's skin turned dark orange. Your species seeks difficulty on purpose. This is unusual. Most civilizations seek comfort and safety. Comfort is nice, the Jinn agreed. But growth comes from challenge. Our ancestors survived because they pushed boundaries. We still carry that drive inside us. Questions continued. The aliens asked about human medicine, and Wu Jin explained surgery, vaccines, and antibiotics. He showed them images of medical procedures, and several of the aliens looked away in distress. You cut into your own bodies? Asked Mira, her lights flickering rapidly. You remove parts and replace them with artificial components? Yes, Wu Jin said. When a heart fails, we can replace it. When a bone breaks, we can repair it with metal pins. When someone has cancer, we poison the whole body to kill the disease, then help the person recover. It is harsh, but it saves lives. Your medicine is warfare, Xyloth observed. You fight your own bodies to save them. Sometimes, Wu Jin admitted. But we also prevent disease. We teach children to eat healthy food and exercise. We study how to keep people well, not just fix them when they are sick. Our medicine is about both fighting and protecting. Subin brought up music on a portable device. May we share something with you? This is one of our greatest pieces of art. It was created by a man named Beethoven over 200 years ago. He was deaf when he wrote it, unable to hear the sounds he was creating. She played the recording of the Ninth Symphony, the chamber filled with the sound of 100 instruments and voices joined together. The music swelled and soared, carrying emotion that needed no translation. Velthar's skin began to change rapidly through dozens of colors. Myra's light pulsed in rhythm with the music. Even Xyloth's crystalline body resonated, creating soft harmonics. When the music ended, there was silence. Then Mira spoke softly. That was beautiful. It made me feel things I have no words for. Your species creates this. For what purpose? Because it speaks to something deep inside us, Dajin said. Music, art, poetry, stories, they do not help us survive directly, but they make life worth living. They connect us to each other and to something larger than ourselves. You weaponize beauty, Velthar said quietly. You use emotion as a tool to reach others. This is powerful. The conversation shifted to human social structures. The aliens wanted to understand how humans formed relationships. The Jinn explained about families, friendships, and communities. We also form bonds with other species, Subin added. We keep animals as companions. Dogs, cats, birds, even fish. They live with us, and we care for them. The aliens were confused. But what purpose do these animals serve? Asked Xyloth. Do you eat them? Use them for labor? Some animals help us. Yes, Subin said. But most pets are just for companionship. My family has a parrot. He has been with us for 60 years, passed down from my grandmother. He talks, plays, and makes us laugh. He is part of our family. You bond with other species for emotional reasons, Velthar said slowly. This is unprecedented in the galaxy. Most species see other life forms as resources or threats. You see them as friends? Is that so strange? Dudgeon asked. All life is precious. All life has value. Why should we only care about our own species? The question hung in the air. The aliens had no answer. Finally, Velthar asked the question that had troubled the council most. Your world tried to destroy you at every turn. Storms, earthquakes, diseases, predators. How did you survive? What kept you going when everything was against you? The Jinn was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. We survived because we did not face it alone. When the storms came, we built shelters together. When disease struck, we cared for the sick. When food was scarce, we shared what we had. Our ancestors learned that together, we could face anything. She leaned forward, her eyes meeting Velthoris. We did not just survive. We thrived. We looked at our world and decided we would not accept it as it was. We would change it. We built tools, made fire, created farming. When we could not change the world, we adapted ourselves. We wore clothing, built homes, invented medicine. And when we could not adapt, we endured, Hien Wu added. We learned to push through pain, through fear, through exhaustion. We learned that the human spirit is stronger than any storm. But most importantly, the Jin continued, we helped each other. When one of us fell, others lifted them up. When one of us was afraid, others gave them courage. That is what makes us human. Not our strength or our intelligence or our tools. It is our ability to care for each other, even when it is difficult. Especially when it is difficult. Velthore's skin turned a color none of them had seen before, a soft silver that seemed to glow. You have given us much to think about. The Galactic Council wishes to extend an invitation. We would like Earth to join the galactic community. We offer you technology, trade, and friendship. The Jinn felt tears forming in her eyes. She did not try to hide them. We accept with gratitude and humility. But we also offer you something in return. We can share our perspective, our experiences, our ways of solving problems. Perhaps we can learn from each other. There is one more thing, Velthor said. We would like to understand humanity better before full integration. We request that Earth send ambassadors to live among different galactic civilizations. To teach us about humans and learn about us, you would be honored, the Jinn replied, as the meeting ended and both sides prepared to leave. Velthar approached the Jinn privately. His skin was a deep blue. I must be honest with you, he said. Many in the council fear your species. You are unlike anything we have encountered. You thrive in chaos. You seek challenge. You form deep emotional bonds. These things are strange to us. The Jinn nodded. I understand. We are afraid too. You have technology we cannot imagine. You could destroy us, Isoli. But fear does not have to lead to conflict. It can lead to understanding. I hope you are right, Velthor said. For all our sakes, I hope you are right. 5 humans stood in the departure bay, each preparing to travel to a different corner of the galaxy. They had been chosen carefully, each one representing different aspects of humanity. Today they would leave Earth and live among aliens, teaching and learning. Sangwoo Lim adjusted his uniform one last time. He was a military strategist, calm and thoughtful. His destination was the Veltharian Empire, a warrior culture that valued strength above all else. They had made it clear they did not think humans could teach them anything about combat. Sangwoo intended to prove them wrong. The Veltharian ship was massive and built for war. When Sangwoo arrived, the warriors looked at him with obvious doubt. He was small compared to them, lacking their natural armor and weapons. You are the human warrior, asked War Master Krell, a towering figure with 4 arms and scales like metal. You look weak. Looks can be deceiving, Sangwoo replied calmly. They tested him immediately with training exercises. Sangwoo failed many of them. He could not lift as much weight. He could not withstand as much damage. He could not match their raw physical power. The Veltharians laughed and dismissed him. Then came the tactical simulation. The exercise was simple. Rescue trapped soldiers from a collapsed building while under enemy fire. The Veltharians used direct assault, overwhelming force, exactly as their training taught them. They lost half their force in the simulation. Sangwoo asked to try. He studied the situation, then did something the Veltharians had never considered. He pretended to attack from the front, drawing enemy fire. Then he circled around through a drainage tunnel the enemies had ignored. He created a distraction using debris and noise. He extracted the trapped soldiers while the enemy was confused. In looking the wrong way, the Veltharians stared at the results in silence. You deceived the enemy, Krell said slowly. You made them think you would do one thing, then did another. Yes, Sangwoo said. Humans learned long ago that we could not always win through strength. So we learned to win through intelligence, through surprise, through making our enemies doubt and fear. We learned to fight smarter, not just harder. Krell's respect grew over the following weeks. Sangwoo taught them about guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, and asymmetric tactics. He showed them how small forces could defeat larger ones through cleverness. He taught them that sometimes retreating was the best way to win, that patience was a weapon. That understanding your enemy's mind was more important than matching their strength far across the galaxy. Dr. Minji Cho sat in the great library of the academic spheres of Nethys. The scholars there believed intelligence was everything and emotions were weaknesses to be eliminated. They had challenged Minji to debate philosophy, expecting to prove human thinking was primitive. Instead, Minji introduced them to existentialism and the writings of human philosophers who had wrestled with the meaning of life in an uncaring universe. She spoke about people who found purpose despite knowing they would die. She shared poetry about beauty that existed for just a moment before fading. The Nethian scholars were disturbed. They had never considered such questions. Their lives were ordered, logical, planned. The idea that meaning had to be created rather than discovered shook their understanding. Why would you think about such dark things? Asked Scholar Prim, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix. Because facing darkness makes us appreciate light, Minji replied. Because understanding our limits helps us transcend them. Because asking difficult questions leads to profound answers. Then disaster struck. A solar flare damaged the research station where they were meeting. Alarms blared. Systems failed. The Nethian scholars froze, unable to decide what to do without complete information and time for analysis. Minji did not hesitate. She made rapid decisions based on incomplete data. She ordered evacuations, rerouted power, sealed damaged sections. She acted on instinct and intuition, things the Nethians had trained themselves to ignore. Within minutes, everyone was safe. How did you know what to do? Prim asked afterward. You did not have time to analyze all possibilities. I did not need to analyze everything, Minji explained. Humans evolved making life or death choices in seconds. Run or fight. Safe or dangerous. We developed intuition, the ability to make good decisions quickly. Sometimes thinking too much is slower than feeling what is right. The Nethians began to reconsider their rejection of emotion and intuition. Perhaps humans had something they had lost in their pursuit of pure logic engineer. Do-Yoon Song found herself among the mechanists, beings who had replaced their organic bodies with machines. They pitied her flesh and blood form, seeing it as weak and temporary. Then they watched her work. When a ship broke down in an unusual way, the mechanists could not fix it. Their programmed knowledge did not cover this specific problem. Da-Yoon studied it, then grabbed spare parts and improvised. She used components in ways they were not designed for. She created solutions that should not work, but somehow did. Your repairs are inefficient, noted Mechanist Unit 447. They are not optimal. But they work, Da-Yoon pointed out. And I made them from what I had available. Humans call this innovation. We solve problems by thinking creatively, not just by following instructions. She taught them about art made by hand, about the value of imperfection, about how limitations force creativity. She showed them that struggling to create something made the creation more meaningful. The mechanists began to experiment with imperfect solutions. They discovered that Da-Yoon was right. Sometimes the best answer was not the most efficient one. Sometimes the struggle itself had value. Diplomat Hai Wan Yang walked through the peaceful gardens of Kel, where beings lived in perfect harmony with nature. They were horrified by human history, the wars and violence and suffering. How can you live with such darkness in your past? Asked Tender Oak, a plant-like being who had lived for 3,000 years. We acknowledge it, Hai Wan replied honestly. We do not hide from our mistakes. We study them, learn from them, and try to be better. Every human carries the capacity for both great kindness and terrible cruelty. What matters is which one we choose. She taught them about redemption, about how enemies could become friends, about how understanding and forgiveness could heal old wounds. When a plague threatened the gardens, Hai Wan explained vaccination, deliberately exposing people to a weakened disease to prevent a worse one. You choose to suffer a little to prevent greater suffering, Oak realized. You accept small pain to avoid large pain, yes, Hai Wan said. That is wisdom. Not all pain can be avoided, but we can choose which pain we face and why. On the rough frontier worlds, Marine Ji Wukong faced constant challenges. The frontier beings were tough survivors who believed strength was everything. They mocked her small size and soft appearance. Then came the rescue mission. Miners were trapped in a cave filled with acidic fumes that would melt most beings. The frontier veterans refused to go. The risk was too high. Ji Wu put on a protective suit and went in alone. She carried out 3 injured miners through conditions that should have killed her. When asked why she risked her life, she simply said, because they needed help. Later, when raiders attacked the settlement, Ji Wu organized the defense. She did not have the strongest weapons or the most forces. But she had tactics, determination, and absolute refusal to give up. She coordinated the defenders, anticipated enemy moves, and fought with a ferocity that shocked the raiders. The frontier worlds learned that humans did not need to be the biggest or strongest to be formidable. They had something more dangerous: the will to never surrender. News of the 5 ambassadors spread across the galaxy. Reports came back to the Council about humans solving impossible problems, teaching ancient civilizations new ways of thinking, and demonstrating capabilities that defied expectations. Velthar read the reports with growing amazement. Humans were not just surviving among the aliens. They were thriving. They were changing how the galaxy thought about strength, intelligence, creativity, and courage. They're extraordinary, Velthar told the Council. Every assumption we made about them was both right and wrong. Yes, they are survivors. Yes, they are tough. But they are also kind, creative, emotional, and wise. They have gifts we did not know we were missing. The Council debated what this meant. Some species began requesting human teachers and advisors. Others wanted to study on Earth. The galaxy was slowly realizing that humanity was not just another species to add to the list. Humans were something new, something the galaxy needed, and this was only the beginning. The emergency signal reached every corner of the galaxy at the same time. In the Corvin sector, an ancient defense system had awakened after 1,000,000 years of silence. It was attacking everything that moved, trapping millions of beings on planets they could not escape from. The Galactic Council tried everything they knew. They sent military fleets, but the defense system destroyed them with ease. They tried to hack the system remotely, but its technology was too old and too different. They attempted diplomatic protocols, but the system was automated and did not respond to communication. Every attempt failed. The death toll climbed by the hour. Entire cities were being destroyed by weapons that should not still function. Fear spread across the galaxy. On Earth, the 5 human ambassadors returned home and met with the United Earth Council. President Taeyong listened to their report about the crisis, then looked at each of them. "Can we help?" he asked simply. The Jinn stood. "We think we can, but it will be dangerous. More dangerous than anything humans have attempted before?" "Tell me," Taeyong said. They explained their plan. The galaxy had tried to solve the problem from a distance. Humans would do what they always did when faced with something impossible. They would get close. They would go inside. They would touch the problem with their own hands and fix it directly. The Council thought they were insane. Velthar argued against it. "You will be killed. The defense system has destroyed ships 10 times more advanced than anything Earth has." "Probably," agreed Captain Jiho, who had volunteered to lead the mission. "But probably is not certainly. And doing nothing is definitely going to result in millions of deaths. We have to try." Within 12 hours, Earth prepared a ship. They called it Persistence, which made Jiho smile. The crew included the 5 ambassadors, Jiho himself, and a team of engineers and soldiers. Among them was Doyan Quan, a salvage expert, who had spent his career taking apart broken ships and making them work again. "This is either the bravest or stupidest thing humans have ever done," Doyan said as they boarded. "Probably both," Jiho replied. The galaxy watched through sensor feeds as Persistence entered the Corvin sector. The defense system detected them immediately and opened fire. Weapons that could vaporize mountains struck the human ship. Persistence did not dodge elegantly. It simply took the hits. The ship was built with layers of armor, backup systems, and what human engineers called acceptable damage levels. Parts of the hull glowed red-hot. Sections vented atmosphere. Alarms screamed, but the ship kept flying. "All systems are yellow," Jiho reported calmly. "Maybe some orange? Definitely not red yet." Continuing to target, galactic observers could not believe what they were seeing. The human ship was being destroyed but somehow still functioning. This was not advanced technology. This was pure stubbornness. Persistence reached the defense platform and docked hard against it. The crew moved quickly. Jiwoo led a team of Marines in protective armor. They cut through the hull and entered the ancient structure. Inside, automated drones attacked them. The galaxy expected sophisticated countermeasures. Instead, the Marines fought the drones in close combat. They used physical strength, teamwork, and weapons designed for simplicity rather than elegance. They smashed, tore, and disabled the drones while engineers rushed past them. Toward the core, Songwoo coordinated the assault. Using tactics he had taught the Veltharians, his team moved in unpredictable patterns, created distractions, and protected each other. When one Marine fell injured, another pulled them to safety and kept fighting. Deep inside the platform, the engineering team reached the central core. It was massive, ancient, and completely incompatible with any modern technology. Dwayne studied it for exactly 30 seconds. "I have no idea what this is," he announced cheerfully. "Let us take it apart and find out." What followed was the most improvised repair in history. The team had brought tools, spare parts, and equipment from Earth. None of it was designed for this. None of it should work. Do-Yoon started ripping out components and replacing them with human technology that was a million years newer, but somehow less advanced. Minji decoded the alien programming by looking for patterns and making intuitive leaps that no computer could calculate. Yoon literally wired human computer chips into alien machinery using techniques that violated every engineering principle. The defense system fought back. Power surges threatened to electrocute them. Automated defenses activated in the core. The temperature climbed to dangerous levels. "We need more time," Minji called out. "We do not have more time," Duyan replied. "So we work faster." Hai-1, meanwhile, tried something strange. She began talking to the defense system's artificial intelligence, using concepts of purpose and meaning. She spoke about how its creators were gone, how its war was over, how it could rest now. "You fought well," she said softly to the machine. "You have been loyal. You have done your duty. But the threat you were built to fight is gone. You can stop now. You can rest." Nobody knew if the ancient AI could understand. But Hai-1 believed that any intelligence, even an artificial one, understood purpose, and she was trying to give it permission to end its purpose. The platform began to shake. Systems overloaded. The core temperature spiked into the red zone. Jiho's voice came over the communicators. "The platform is going to explode. We need to evacuate now." "Not yet," Daeon said. He was elbowed deep in alien machinery, sweat pouring down his face. "Almost there." "We do not have almost," Jiho said urgently. "We have minutes." "Then stop talking and let me work," Doyen replied. Gyu and her Marines held the corridor against waves of defense drones. They were running low on ammunition and energy. Several Marines were wounded, but they did not retreat. They held the line because the engineers needed time. In the core, Minji finally cracked the central code. "I am in. Yoon, connect your bypass now." Yoon slammed her hand-built connector into place. Sparks flew. Something exploded behind them, but the connection held. The defense system's attacks stopped. The lights flickered. The temperature began to drop. Hai-1's voice was gentle as she spoke to the AI one last time. "Thank you for your service. You can rest now." The ancient system powered down. After a million years of waiting, its war was finally over. Persistence undocked from the platform and limped away. The ship was barely functional, held together by emergency repairs and sheer determination. But every human on board was alive. The trapped populations in the Corvin sector were saved. The galaxy erupted in celebration. The council hall filled with sounds of joy and relief from hundreds of species. Velthor stood before the assembly, his skin brilliant gold. For 2 million years, we have maintained our civilization through careful planning and risk avoidance, he said. We believed this was wisdom. Today, humans showed us we were wrong. Sometimes you must risk everything. Sometimes you must attempt the impossible. Sometimes you must refuse to accept that something cannot be done. On Earth, news of the Corvin mission spread instantly. The reaction surprised the galaxy. Instead of celebrating and resting, millions of humans volunteered for more missions. They wanted to help more. They wanted to explore more. They wanted to do more impossible things. President Taeyong spoke to both Earth and the galaxy. You asked what makes humans special. It is not that we are stronger or smarter. It is that we refuse to accept limits. We look at impossible situations and say, let us try anyway. That is who we are. The Galactic Council held an emergency session and made a historic decision. Earth was given full membership, but with a special designation. Whenever the galaxy faced something impossible, humanity would be called first. They became the Council's problem solvers, their reality checkers, their hope when all other hope was gone. Human culture spread across the stars. Coffee shops opened on every major station. Earth music played in alien cities. Other species began adopting pets inspired by humans. The galaxy was learning to think like humans, creatively, emotionally, stubbornly. The 5 ambassadors became legends. They were offered wealth and power, but they chose to remain teachers and explorers. Sangwoo trained mixed-species military units. Minji taught at galactic universities. Daiyun designed new ships that combined human creativity with alien technology. Haiwan negotiated peace treaties. GOE led rescue operations. GOE was promoted to Admiral and given command of the first Joint Human Galactic Emergency Response Fleet. His first order was simple. We will need more coffee and bigger toolkits. 1 year after first contact, Ambassador Thejin stood before the Galactic Council for the annual assembly. She had been asked to report on humanity's first year among the stars. We have faced 47 impossible problems this year, she said. We solved all of them. We colonized 15 death worlds that other species thought were uninhabitable. We rescued populations from disasters everyone said could not be survived. We taught over 200 species new ways to think about problems. She paused and looked around at the hundreds of alien faces watching her. But the most important thing we learned is this. You are all capable of what we do. You have just forgotten. Every species here survived impossible odds to evolve. You all fought and struggled and refused to give up. We did not bring something new to the galaxy. We reminded you of something you already had.